packed day indeed it is. We'll be starting off with the newspaper. Why don't we just get to it right away, because some stories are already here. We'll start off with the Daily Guide newspaper and try and tell you about some of the stories that they've also been talking about this morning. So we get straight to it. The front page of the Daily Guide newspaper comes here with the big story on Men's Gold. Men's Gold has been off the table for some time now, but it appears that the story is back because the Attorney General is slapping NAM1 with 39 charges, and that's in connection with the defunct Men's Gold company. The AG believing that he's been involved in defrauding some Ghanaians. As to whether or not, that will end him up in jail, we are yet to see what the court will have to say about that. There are some other stories there on the Daily Guide, the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. 540 garment, textile companies, they're receiving some funding from the Youth Employment Agency. Internal wranglings and the justlings for the top spot of the New Patriotic Party is also featuring on the front page of the the Daily Guide newspaper. Alan speaks tough over attack on agent. Details we'll get for you on page 3 of the newspaper. Now, there's talk about Nana Akufo-Addo opening Africa's biggest salt mine. It comes with a picture of the president, the chairman of the Magdan Group, Mr. Daniel Macaulay, some chiefs, as well as the Trade and Industry Minister, Honorable Katie Hammond, there on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Okay, let's move on to some others now. The Business Finder actually is here. The Business Finder this morning is talking about planning and the tourism minister, the sector minister, Dr. Ibrahim Awal, has been advising tourism industry players to try and prioritize succession planning, and he believes that that's a critical area that will boost investment in the sector, a reason for which we're having Dr. Awal featuring on the front page of the Business Finder. There's talk about the YEA's decision to disburse funds to some 12.9 million cedis to garment, textile module trainers, and the second lady, that's wife of the vice president, I should say, is leading AfriWork team to Kenya. So that's it for the Business Finder. We get now to the Daily Graphic. Daily Graphic, biggest story there. The largest salt mine starts operation, and it's got to talk about Electrochem employing some 3,000 workers. This, we understand, is one of the largest investments when it comes to salt operations in Africa, and not just Ghana. It's the reason for which President Akufo-Addo took time off his schedule yesterday, just to be a part of the commissioning and to see for himself firsthand how this company will impact the people of Adan and the country as a whole. So he comes up with a picture of President Akufo-Addo and chairperson of the Magdan Group, Daniel Macaulay, in your shots there. And then there's talk about NAM1 being slapped with 39 criminal charges. Comes to the picture of Nana Mensah, who's the CEO of the defunct Men's Gold. The nation must rally behind in the industrial agenda, and it's part of the issues that the Daily Graphic is exploring today. Okay, so it's clear now that almost everyone is talking about Nana Mensah being back in court and the Men's Gold Blues continuing. Let me bring in one man helping us to do the discussion this morning. Parliamentary candidate, NDC's parliamentary candidate for South Tong Maso Lokoto, is joining us via Zoom. Thank you, sir, and good morning. Not, I believe this is not a great way to start the morning, just reminding people of their investments that have gone down the drain, and yet the AG says what he intends to do is to, go back to court, slap some more charges on Nana Mensah. This Men's Gold issue has taking a very long time to settle.
Good morning, Efu.
Good morning.
Efu, yeah.
My phone Wi-Fi.
Let me say good morning to my constituents and to you and to everybody who is watching us this morning. As for this number one issue, it has become the biggest and the longest scandal so far that we are witnessing in this country, and it's taking the life of majority of the people who have invested purely in a business they think they are going to make profits and dividends out of. It's unfortunate it's turning out to be this. And the situations we see around NAM1 and this men's gold issue, since I think there are some bigger fishes out there who are deeply involved and who wouldn't allow due protest to take place and for finality to be brought to the issue. It's been so long and it's been so winding, it's been so heavy. They will go circuit court, they will go, they stop, magistrate court, they go, they stop, high court, and it's been on and on and on. And so I can't be too sure where we are heading with this one. I just hope and pray that things will normalize this time around and then people will begin to receive their money. Just about a week or so ago, we heard that NAM1 and his cohorts have come out with a new plan to cause people to pay about 650 Ghana cedis for them to be officially recognized or so that their monies can be paid back to them. Some people agitated, and I hear it's been stopped. And so we are not too sure where they are heading with these things. Like I said earlier, this is people's funds they have invested into this business hoping to recoup. Fortunately for some of us, we are never moved by some of these things. So we refrain from it. Yeah. I'm not too sure you're also involved.
No. Let me just say no. but the interesting thing about this is that even if you're not directly involved, there's a relative, there's someone who's, some way, somehow related to this, and the pressure keeps piling on the dependents, people who now have to call a family member or the other to say, you know what, I placed my funds in here. Even churches, we understand, had their funds in there. So, by association, we can say that we are all affected by this exercise.
we are all involved. It's so unfortunate. Some of us have learned our lessons very early in life, and some of those things don't really move us. Of course, people spoke to me about this men's goal issue. I'll look at it, and most of the things don't really make so much business sense to me, and so I refrain from it. Unfortunately, a lot of our people, to the extent like you have just indicated, churches even fell for these things, and then it's gone the way it's going. It's so unfortunate. So like I said earlier, it's high time government brought some finality to this issue so that those who are involved, even if they won't get the dividends and the returns they were expecting, at least their principals will be given back to them so that they can go back. Most of them are pensioners who, instead of going to the bond market, have decided to go into this because they think it's better fetching. And like we've heard severally in the news, most people even can't make money to pay for their medications and to visit hospitals and to attend to themselves. And it's crazy.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting point you're raising, because the initial stance of government when the story broke, we heard clearly from the finance minister indicating that government does not intend to come through, pay, depositors fund while, going after men's gold to try and find a way of, liquidating the assets, getting much more money out of that. What we have now, presupposes that government is still towing that line. Do you feel that the finance ministry should just reverse their position on this, try and find some funds for depositors, and then we go ahead to find out how men's gold could be of help in paying back some of these funds back to government chest?
It's seriously wondering where government is going to find money to pay back these investors. Seriously, look at the domestic debt exchange program that we have gone through. Look at the debt that the Bank of Ghana has accrued on its books due to this GDP and some other reckless expenditure we have recorded or we have seen out of the Public Accounts Committee's report on them. It's so unfortunate. I'm not too sure they will be able to make so much money to pay these depositors. The amount involved are so huge that I wonder if government really would want to do that. But you see, the unfortunate thing is that even if you are not going to pay the people and go retrieve or do whatever to Namwan, prosecute him. Let us see the end of this issue. And those of his properties that were confiscated and those other things they are doing. It looks like it's a musical chair they are dancing. They are dancing around. Today it is that, tomorrow is another. They will go in circles, will come back to square one, and they start the prosecution again. And so it's unfortunate. The last time we heard were about 69 or 67 charges raised against him. They've all been dropped. Now it's 39, and the next time may go to 3, may get to 1. And it's all about musical chair. I am not too sure what it is. And the unfortunate thing is that with all this, you see soldiers, you see police people guarding the person who is at the center of these issues, and you wonder whether government is complicit in these things to the extent that they could be giving protection to. Of course, it's a Ghanaian. If he goes to ask for protection from the service, they are obliged to do that. But you see, if you see the posting of government, it doesn't look like they are seriously interested in pursuing this case and bringing it to finality. And so that's the worry of some of us who are watching besides. And so I think that let's just see that they are ready to prosecute this case and bring it to finality. If the assets that were seized will be liquidated and some people's paid some portions of their money, at least half a loaf, they say, is better than none. And so I think that government should be seen to be taking serious actions to resolve the matter.
And just yesterday, I see that there was a right to information request asking the Attorney General to at least provide updates on the assets that were frozen, what the status of these assets are. I mean, why go ahead and put out the details when we know that's got to do with someone's investment as well, his private property? The case is not over yet. So don't you feel that the aggrieved customers of Men's Gold are being a bit impatient? At least just take time, let the legal processes work.
Blessed, are you saying impatient? Since when? Impatient, you mean? Oh, blessed, I thought you said we were uninvolved.
But you know, the wheel of justice, they say, grinds slowly, but eventually,
when people are dying by the day because their investment is locked up with some smart young man and government is being complicit in helping him dribble everybody every day. You talk about impatience. I think that they are not being impatient at all. At least for us to know that these are the properties that we have seized, this is how much worth it is, and this is how much money we owe the investors. And so at least they should be assured that even if those properties are liquidated, at least half of their investment will be given back to them. It's assuring now. And so it's good they know some of these things, and then they can rest assured that at the end of the day, they will have their monies back. But if it comes to light, that even all those properties that were seized, most of them were not for him, then they will be more alarmed. Of course, they should know they are paid by now. They shouldn't just hang in the balance, don't know exactly what the situation is. And so I think that it's a good thing that they file that seeking information as to the exactitudes of the issues or the properties that were seized and how much value they have placed on them. I think it's good.
Okay, let's deal with the other stories we have this morning. The NPP and their tiebreaker. Initially, they were set out to break the A8. That agenda is being put on hold now while we deal with two individuals who, came neck and neck in the just ended presidential special delegates conference. And that's got to do with Boakye Agyarko, the former energy minister. We also have one other, Adanimo, yes, who will now be, heading into this weekend's election. But the party, first of all, and just last night we were talking about that on PM Express, the party is now indicating to us that they will vary the rules, get, a smaller size, a smaller number to decide who will, break the tie, and then move forward speedily to November 4, at least to find a flag bearer for the New Patriotic Party. And even before that exercise, the Daily Guide is reporting of Alan speaking tough on the attack on his agent. I recall him using words such as he will not tolerate indiscipline within the New Patriotic Party. He's also gone ahead to talk about how the values of the party, something he stood for dearly, is being compromised just at the last weekend's event. Your flag bearer, the party you belong to, John Mahama, has also been speaking about these attacks. Are you not, just simply hyping matters, trying to create the impression as though the NPP is not together on this?
No, Blessed, I don't think that's what we intend to put across. This is a party that has started itself about its democratic credentials. And so it's good that we hold them to the mantra they themselves have been putting across every day. I'm aware that Kwasi Ejaku has released a statement this morning stating that he's withdrawing from the tiebreaker. Like you said earlier, it was breaking 8. Now they are breaking their eyes. And from breaking ice, now they are now trying to break a tie. And so, as for breaking the 8, I think that it's never going to happen.
Yeah, but as for the ice, well, I don't know about that. Do you know of any?
You don't know about the Alan Chimante's issue of visiting the eye clinic where
I see.
One of his agents
I see. So that's the breaking of the ice, not the 8.
Yeah, so I said they moved from breaking 8, now they are breaking ice, and now they are breaking ties.
Interesting.
So every day they are breaking new things. And so that is the level they are now. And we as a Democratic Party would have to call them to understand that this is not the way things are now. We've just gone through our presidential and parliamentary elections, and we have not heard some of these things that we are seeing happening around them. Anytime they are involved in any particular election, it is one violent against the other, killing people, shooting of guns, maiming one another, punching, fighting. You see a presidential candidate ranting and shouting as if heaven is breaking loose. That's not the kind of people we would want to see leading us going forward. And so, yes, Alan Chimanti was so furious about the injustice being meted out to him and his supporters. It looks like there's a assistant candidate who is doing everything and everybody's helping to make sure that they break themselves. As for the 8, I'm not sure they are close to breaking it. And so for me, these are lessons for them to learn and to understand that Ghanaians are getting tired with their attitude, and it's high time they begin to look at themselves.
And here's how others also see it. Some say it's the most competitive internal reorganization process, as opposed to the NDC, which had a relatively smooth ride for President John Dramani Mahama.
Yeah, we had this move for President John Mahama, but there were other contestants, or they were contestants who contested with John Dramani Mahama.
Yeah, was it really a contest? Some say that wasn't a contest.
What was it? Was it a beauty contest? It was a contest. President, it was a contest, wasn't it? Did you see before? Did you see the other contestants? It was a contest. We had 3 people on the ballot. Unfortunately, before we drew very late in the day, and there were still 3 of them on the ballot. We had to vote for John Dramani Mahama out of them. So it was a contest, and we went through competitive bidding and all that. And so for me, it was a contest. You thought it was not a contest?
Looking at the personalities involved, the feeling is, John Mahama had an upper hand. And it's the same for the New Patriotic Party, where many are saying, and just as you're pointing out, there's an establishment candidate appearing to go in the favor of one individual who's already serving in government. The feeling is the political parties appear to go for these ones, the ones who are giving you a better chance at getting more votes at the end of the day. I guess that's all you're doing as both the NDC and the NPP.
Is that why they will not allow a free and fair election to happen? We of course, we knew who we were going to vote for, but it really doesn't mean that we should go out of our way slapping people, breaking their eyes and doing all the unnecessary things, sacking people from their polling centers and then chasing them into their rooms for their presidential candidate to come and be ranting. We were not still doing any of the things. We knew who we were going to vote for. It's a democratic process. And we went through as much as we could and came out very successfully. Why can't they learn from us and do same? It's amazing that we've always taken the lead in some of these things, but everybody never learned from the NDC as to how the game is played. You have a system candidate, yes, we all know. So why don't you just allow him to go? Do you have to break people's eye to tell the whole world that you have a system candidate? No. I think they are not learning at all.
Some say that the NPP is becoming very much attractive. Is the reason for which you have as many as 10 individuals saying that they want to lead the New Patriotic Party, as opposed to your party, which only had 4 individuals. What's your take on that?
No, I'm sure they are hustling. This is not the first time we are seeing them do that. The last time we saw about 17 of them, and now we are seeing 10. I don't know what number we are going to get the next time around. But I'm sure that the way they do their things, it's what is causing some of them to want to. It's like in governance, they at the top there have the better loot, and then they share among themselves. So people think that that's the only way you can get to the top. If you speak to the grassroots, the MPP people who are the grassroots, it's not too easy for them. And so they feel that it's only when you get to the top that you can mask all the necessary work you need in the world. So maybe it is the world that is attracting them to the top. But to say that the parties are attractive, that is why. No, you see, democracy really doesn't always call for large numbers. There's always lobbying behind the scene. There's always talking to people to understand that there's a queue, somebody would have to come first, the next person will come after that. And so we go through the system like that. So the fact that one person, 2 or 3 are vying for a position, 10 are not coming, 70 are not coming, does not really mean that the party is not attractive. Can't you see the number of people who are lined up that you can count in the NDC who could be successors to John Dramani Mahama? But once we understand that at this point in our life is the best bet to lead us into the 2024 elections and to lead Ghana again for the next 4 years, starting from 2024. Right? We've all given him the head start to help do that.
Right, but here's the case as well. Some others are beginning to do their own pairing, trying as much as possible to look at the odds already, even before the New Patriotic Party finds one man who would lead them into the 2024 elections. And some are beginning to pair, for instance, John Mahama, Bawumia scenario. There are those who are looking at John Mahama, Alan Kojo Chiroma-Ting scenario. There are those who are looking at John Mahama, Kennedy Agyapong scenario. At least, let me take that first 3. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, no, it's normal. Any political watcher and any serious political party worth coming to government will do these pairings. And so you always want to look for whoever is coming, your opponent, and see what are his strengths and weaknesses are. You map out your strategies to outwit any of them that comes along. And so for us as a party, whoever, the last time we were saying that even if they brought all 10 of them on the ballot paper to contest against John Dramani Mahama, we know John Dramani Mahama will floor all of them. And so any of them that is brought should not be an issue to us at all. Kennedy Agyapong, who will go on national TV and be ranting and asking people to kill others and break their heads. Kennedy Agyapong, who will go on national TV and say that all Evans and guns should be slapped and should be clapped. Is that the one we should be thinking about becoming a president of Ghana? As for Alan Chiroma-Ting, he's lost the chest and then the Alan Cape fever that was around him. He's lost it long ago, and so we are not too bothered about him. And the lying Baulaya, I am not sure anybody in the NDC or Ghana at large takes him serious any longer. There are several things he said himself that today we can play back to him, and I'm sure he will bow his head. So there isn't anything new he's bringing on board. He's been known as the best liar so far in this country. And so we are not too bothered about him. There are many principles and policies he espoused in the past that now that he's in the driving seat or helping the president to drive, because the president has always said that it is his ideas that he's driving, even though the last time he himself came saying that he has his own ideas to drive. Well, we are not too sure which is the true situation. So we are not too bothered about whichever of them emerge finally as the winner in November 4th primaries that they are going to. So we are battle ready for any of them. We will just play back their own tapes to them, and that should be enough for us. But we are solid on the ground. That is why we are putting ourselves together. Our policies, our manifesto, we are putting this together to make sure that Ghanaians run along with us. So we are not bothered. We are not bothered at all. we are solid on the ground.
Okay, the NDC is busy already. Your ultimatum to the central bank governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, is expired. You gave him 21 days to leave office. Today, we understand there will be a forum organized by some groups, Arise Ghana, just to point out why they believe it's time for Ernest Addison, doctor, to get out of office. But there's an analysis on that in the Business Finder today, interesting one. And one doctor, Kofi Amponsa Bediako, believes that your attack, and by extension, I'm talking about the minority in parliament, their attack on the central bank appears not to be justified. Is the reason for which he believes, a lot more time needs to be given to the central bank governor. Do you feel your party should be reconsidering that decision now? The decision, first of all, to occupy the central bank. And why not give some more time to Dr. Ernest Addison? This is a man, facing a crisis.
You see, the problem we have is that these things didn't come out of the blue. There were signs, there were signals. I don't go keep hammering these issues. I don't also keep talking about it. We have spoken on several occasions about this happening that we are experiencing now. We knew the things that were going to happen when he was printing so much money into the system, when they were doing things so recklessly. They were warned, and they never heeded any advice that were given by the NDC, especially in opposition to them. And you see, in governance, there's always a team voice that speaks loudest, and it's always good for you to listen to them. If you don't, then you do it at the peril of your own life. And so for us, it's like they are taking Ghanaians for a ride. There's so much impunity in the system that you keep warning them, they won't listen, they won't take any of your advice, and at the end of the day, they plunge all of us into a situation that we find very difficult to come out of. Just watch the finance minister, the presidency, and all those people that were responsible for the economy. When there were times that we warned that where we're heading to, our debt was becoming unsustainable, it was high time we put a brake on them, they wouldn't heed. And so, even at the last hour when we told them that we'd have to go to the IMF and make sure that we recorrect the situation that we're in, they never heeded. They did things with impunity. At the last hour when we were in coma, they had to put us in a wheelchair and drive us to the IMF. And so these are some of the situations we felt that if persuasion fails, sometimes force need be applied. And so as for demonstrations, they are part of the governance system that anybody can employ any day, any time. And so I don't see why they are scared about parliamentarians going to occupy Bank of Ghana. And the police and government is doing everything to frustrate their effort and to make sure that it doesn't happen. I really don't understand what they intend to achieve by some of these things. But for me, it's a process we have to go through. It's only in this part of our world that it's difficult for people to resign. Once you falter so much and plunge a whole country into this situation, it is high time you resigned. And so if you are not resigning and some people want to put some pressure on you, it's a democratic process that will go through all the time. So there's nothing.
Yeah, but the question is
the Ghana to me. And so
is the picketing necessary? I guess that's the biggest question now.
Is it not a democratic process? Is it not a democratic process?
Yeah, but that's a security installation. Money is being kept there. The president says that popular refrain that money does not like noise.
As for some of those excuses, they are the jokes of the century. Are we going to the vote to go and take back out of the vote? So that's not what we are going to do. We are going to a democratic process. I'm not sure we're going to enter the Bank of Ghana offices and to do whatever we were going to. It's the premise we are just coming to present a petition to them and to force them to resign. That's all we are doing.
Yeah, but you have leaders. These are leading figures. They'll come along with so many people, the followers. And in fact, some people who may not even be members of the NDC could take advantage of this and, begin to cause mayhem around that security installation. The Bank of Ghana is just too sensitive, isn't it?
It's too sensitive for picketing. We are not picketing, we are demonstrating to the area to represent our distance and petition and go back. I'm not sure there's anything so risky about it. So is it about picketing there or about the route to use to the Bank of Ghana?
No, you see, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that even if you're doing demonstrations, I recall the last one you did, you wanted to, send a petition to Flagstaff at Jubilee House. You had some challenges with the security, obviously because of the type of installation that is, the Jubilee House. When it comes to the central bank, you agree that that's much more fragile as compared to even the Jubilee House.
So was it also because we're going to disrupt activities at the Jubilee House, or monies or anything that has to do with cash is there that we're going to pilfer and do things with? That's why we are not allowed to go to the Jubilee House. So it's not about the Bank of Ghana per se being an installation with cash and all those other things. That's why we are not being allowed there. It's just one of the normal gimmicks of government and then the security services to prevent people from airing their views. Do you think parliamentarians are not knowledgeable enough to know what the content of the Bank of Ghana is so much so that would want to go there?
Can't you find any other venue much more bigger, spacious for your members to demonstrate and to make that case to the central bank governor?
But why do I want to present a petition to the governor of Bank of Ghana and I'll send it to the Flagstaff House, or I'll send it to the Independence Square? Why should I do that? Then what is the essence of whatever I want to drive home? It's about the essence of why you want to demonstrate. And that's where the governor is, and that's where we want to go make the presentation to him at. Why should I go to the Independence Square to go and present a petition to who? So that he will come there to come and meet me. There's nothing weird, there's nothing strange, there's nothing fearful about the parliamentarians who are going to present a petition to the governor at the premises of the Bank of Ghana. I don't think so.
I see.
You think so?
Well, the concerns about security, that's just my concern, though. Once you're able to rein in your members, once we have peace, once we have security, that's just my concern, sir.
So once we have security, the securities will be with us, and they are within the premises of the Bank of Ghana. I'm not sure the security forces there would be pushed over and people will enter into the bank. And sincerely, I'm not sure there's money in the premises of Bank of Ghana. You think so?
Oh, the money is finished?
The money is not there.
The money is finished? Well, you tell me.
No,
I'm not there.
The
I'm not there. I'm not there at all. I don't know what's in there. Maybe the central bank governor will tell us. Maybe, just maybe.
Oh, the money is not there. The money is elsewhere.
So some say, do we believe Hobson Addoe when he says the money is finished? It's all gone. Anyway, that's an interesting one to explore.
The money is all gone.
Okay, so but in spite of this, the Daily Guide newspaper, page 9, we seem to see some effects of the fiscal policy measures that the central bank governor is taking. For instance, there's a story about how the CD continues to stabilize against the US dollar, opening the week, for instance, at 11.33 cedis. That's against the US dollar. That's gaining some 0.44% as the newspaper is reporting, the Daily Guide newspaper is reporting this morning. So at least signs that a good omen, if we give him some time, he'll be able to stabilize things. You don't believe so? You don't believe that he needs a few more days just to put things in order?
For me, it's still worrying. It's still above 10, and that's the problem we have. You see, the issue is how far have we come? How quickly have we gotten there? And if we think that our policies are working, how fast are we getting down? And so it's the rate of the depreciation that we would want to look at to see whether we are really having, whether the policies being implemented are having so much effect on the rate. And so for some of us, that's what we are looking at. We rose so quickly because things were so bad, and we are not falling as quickly as we rose. And so for some of us, we wish that it comes as low as to 3 or as to 4. But the question is, can we get there? That's the most critical thing. And where we have gotten to the number of things that have gone wrong, I'm not too sure we'll be able to correct them. Because, of course, a typical Ghanaian, what we know is about increasing prices, not necessarily reducing them. And so the effect is already here with that. But as much as we can, if we can calm down, why not? That's the best anybody will look for its country. But it looks like our leaders are not learning so fast to be able to put practical and pragmatic efforts in place to make sure that we calm down as much as we rose. And so for some of us watching, it's a good sign, yes, of course, but would wish that it gets down more than we are seeing now.
I see, but then on the issue of the police indicating that it would not be able to provide at least security for the planned protest or picketing now, how is that sitting with your members of your party now?
I'm sure members of parliament themselves always have an aide, and they are also police officers, and it's all about police officers guarding a procession. It's interesting when they tell you that they will not be able to provide security, and before you get to your target end, there are already security officers there. Look at the hoteliers who were going to demonstrate the other day, about 2 or 3 days ago. The police told them that they won't be able to provide security, but before they got to the end, there were securities there waiting for them. So for some of these things, they are just gimmicks, and that the security services usually want to employ to cause people to want to refrain from the actions that they intend to hold. And so I think it's time we begin to look at. For the past few years, demonstrations that we have had have not been as violent as they used to be. Ghanaians by nature, we are not violent. It's only when somebody pushes you to the wall that sometimes people try to respond. But generally, it's about what we intend to do with these demonstrations. We get the results, and we move away. And so when they behave as if we are generally violent and we always want to involve in violence, it's unfortunate. How many police people would we need to guard these parliamentarians who already have police details with them? I'm not sure we need so much. They should begin to rethink their position. Yesterday, I heard our leaders in parliament saying that the first meeting they had with them was very cordial, and so they are surprised that they are taking an attitude now. And I don't want to believe that some unseen hands out there are forcing them to do the things they want to do. Dampare, as we've all come to know, is a fine gentleman who doesn't necessarily tolerate nonsense in court, and he always wants to play with the book. So I'm sure they can always get back to the table. Fit is still a few days away. We can right the wrongs and Nigerians and any other Ghanaian that is going to join them, go on this peaceful walk demonstration to also go and present a petition to the governor of Bank of Ghana. Let's respect each other.
Yeah.
These are democratic processes that we always have to go through. Is it more expensive than the who's experiencing around the South region? Why won't citizens be allowed to air their views freely, and then when they get satisfied, they move back, rather than stifling them out of the situation and forcing them against the wall to do things that
okay. And since you're bringing that up, our own internal democratic processes are underway. The district level elections are expected to kickstart in the coming days, and yet political parties without representation are asking the EC to convene an IPAC meeting, an emergency one, over the voter registration exercise. The Daily Graphic is talking about that on page 17. There's also another interesting story there. We'll look at it later. But the point about the local level elections, why has it become of concern to political parties when we know that at the decentralized level, you don't have to, be on the ticket of any of the political groupings? The NDC threatening to sue. Now we have the political parties without representation saying they need an IPAC meeting. An IPAC meeting over a district level elections?
I'm not sure necessarily it's about the political parties interested in the local level elections to the extent that they want to necessarily push their individuals or their party people in there. It's about the process leading to that particular election that we are talking about, especially about the registration, the limited registration exercise. These are things we've gone through on several occasions as Ghanaians. Limited registration has always been there. When it has to do with major registration, we go through limited registration, always precede district level elections. And don't forget that the next major election, it's in 2024 next year. And all these people who are finding themselves into the register are not only going there necessarily because of the local level elections, but also because of the national elections. And so if it is seen that the electoral commissioner, who is supposed to be an independent arbiter and institution, is trying to deny free access into the register, then it begins to make people wonder what their motivations are. We have had these issues on several occasions, or this exercise on several occasions has always been at the electoral levels where people within an electoral area will be allowed to come and register during the limited registration exercise. But why is the EC making it so difficult now for only district offices to be used in the registration? Can you imagine the number of people who would have turned 18 after the last registration exercise was done? And for some of us who have very large constituency or district that spans even beyond to some overseas areas, it's a challenge to bring people from very far places to come to the district capital just to come and get themselves registered. And so that's the challenge most of us are seeing. And we don't know why EC will be doing some of the things they are doing. And for me, I want to sound a caution to Jane Adokwe-Mensah, that she's getting a missed call from Gabon. She's getting a missed call from Gabon. It is the inaction of the Electoral Commission in Gabon. That is what saying yesterday. And she should be careful some of the actions she's taking. If she's trying to put so much pressure on us as a people, and the people cannot take it any longer, the worst may happen. We are not wishing for that.
But
we are saying that she should be careful some of the signs. Say that again?
Yeah, I was just talking about the fact that pictures and video circulating just yesterday or last night, pointing out to the deposed Gabonese president, Ali Bongo, allegedly pleading for more support, asking people to make noises, beginning to grow a lot of reaction on social media. The point is, even if democracy goes down, even in Ghana, everyone's going to pay the price for it. You in the political class will pay a price for it, even for us in the media as well. So we just need to protect what we have.
Of course, everybody is going to pay the price. That is why we are cautioning her that let's just live by the books. The IPAC is the one that advises the EC on how we Ghanaians feel things should go. It is our own money. It is our own electoral commission. It is our own election. All these things that we are fighting for will come to naught if there is a destabilization of the system. So Jane Adokwe-Mensah should be very careful and to listen to word of caution and counsel. She should be very, very careful the way she's treading. I don't know what gives her all that confidence to do the things that she's doing. Some of us are getting incensed about her actions. I just don't know what is making her so adamant, so proud, and so insolent that she wouldn't listen to anybody. She should be very, 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 very careful. We are treading on dangerous ground. The anger in people is building up, and the earlier we tell her in her face, the better it is for all of us. She should be very, very careful. Things are not going too well with us as Ghanaians.
Okay.
Yes, we might have taken it for all this while, but she should be very, very careful. Things are not too good for us. Look at the way people were agitating the other day, the other independent parties who don't have representation in parliament. We should be very, very careful about the things we do. What would it cost her to send these registration centers to the electoral areas that we have long been doing? I just don't get what the problem is. She should be very, very careful.
All right.
A word to the wise, they say it's enough.
Yeah, and in the South, that's where you find yourself as a member of parliament, the parliamentary candidate for the South Tone constituency. Maxwell Olukoto, thank you for spending some time with us. Now calm down, get some akple and some fetridici, and then, relax for the day.
Thank you so much, Kuja.
Indeed, we'll see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, we're checking out of the newspaper. We'll do sports afterwards. Please stay.